The left, the most crazy and entitled and low information people on the planet. When they're not losing their minds about a ruling that won't make any difference to them whatsoever if they chose to look into it a bit further than reading a headline, they're completely losing their mind about a mass shooting, and instead of saying, oh, this is sad, I hope everyone affected gets through this, my heart goes out to the families, and leave it like that, like a normal person, they use it to start screeching about right-wing people being white supremacists, because the communist Redditor, who was also a fairy, the three most leftist things you can be aside from wanting to give a kid puberty blockers, mass shooter, wrote in his insane manifesto about the Great Replacement Theory. Look, doesn't have to make sense, okay? This is a conspiracy theory the right and only the right are pushing. And again, look, ignore the fact that CNN were talking about it in 2018 and saying how it's a great thing. Ignore the leftist blogs and articles proclaiming it as fact and definitely not a conspiracy theory. Be a good little communist and get with the program. It's a conspiracy theory now. The TV said so. So wipe anything else from your memory and obey. Now, before people get too excited about what I've just said, I don't care. I'm not making a point about the subject. That's way too spicy for YouTube. I'm highlighting the hypocrisy and idiocy. I find the right's whataboutism about Joe Biden going to Buffalo and not to Waukesha when that SUV mowed all those people down just as bad. You're all race baiting at this stage and falling into the left's trap. Stop engaging. Ignore them, and they won't do it anymore if it gets no reaction. Anyway, speaking of huge racists, Joe Biden had to get a new press secretary as 2 years of lying wore out his old one, and she had to leave, as even for a leftist woman, the scale of the lies she had to tell for Captain You Ain't Black was just getting ridiculous. So she got replaced with this lady here, Karine Jean-Pierre, a very dangerous woman who doesn't believe in democracy and is a threat to national security and possible insurrectionist, who we have talked about on this channel before after tweets about her not believing elections are perfect in every single way surfaced when she got the job. So a bizarre choice for the job, but it is what it is. Anyway, she had her first press conference today and she opened it with a stunningly touching and motivating speech about herself, because obviously a press secretary's primary duty is to talk about herself and not the issues of the country, of course. Let's listen to it, shall we?
I am obviously acutely aware that my presence at this podium represents a few firsts. I am a Black, gay, immigrant woman, the first of all three of those to hold this position. I would not be here today if it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me. I stand on their shoulders. If it were not for generations of barrier-breaking people before me, I would not be here. But I benefit from their sacrifices. I have learned from their excellence, and I am forever grateful to them. Representation does matter. You hear us say this often in this administration, and no one understands this better than President Biden.
Oh wow, so courageous. She's the first Black, gay, immigrant woman to ever hold this position. 3 things that don't matter at all about getting a job, but have you noticed that they've added all this extra stuff to make it a first since they initially announced her coming into the field of role? It was all cooming over her just being the first Black woman to be the White House press secretary. I wonder why that is. Oh right, it's because they got caught lying, trying to give this a racial angle when the first Black press secretary was Judy Smith in 1991 for George Bush. Whoopsie. And representation does matter, does it? And no one understands it better than President Biden. Is that the same President Biden who thought integrating Black kids into schools would turn schools into a racial jungle, pressing X to doubt he understands representation at all? And the overwhelming arrogance. You're the president's helper to do the work he doesn't want to do. No one cares a bit about you. They just want you to answer questions truthfully, not what shenanigans you get up to in the bedroom. That's all. But that's the left. Hypocritical narcissists. One and all. That's it for today's video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to see more content like this. Thanks, boy.